So let me now introduce you to the second keynote that we have over here. So now from the performing art, we are moving to a different medium, but that has immense potential in the current era. So let us move on to the next keynote on breaking the barriers, women journals, technology, and fight for gender equality in India media by Ms. Soundariya Preetha. Ms. Soundariya Preetha is the Deputy Chief of Bureau, the Hindu Coimbatore, where she has been working for over 25 years. Ms. Preetha has her MA at the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Amritapuri campus from 1998. She completed her MA, and she also won the Best Journalist Award from the Construction Department Council. So I welcome Ms. Soundariya Preetha to show us the potential of media in transforming women. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all those on the dais and all the participants. It was a brilliant talk, and I'm so thankful for giving me this opportunity to listen to it. Okay, now we are going to talk about newsrooms and what it means to have inclusive newsrooms. So before I start, I just want to give a disclaimer. I have taken phrases from a lot of international studies, and I'm not giving credit to them when I speak. So that's it. Okay, so I'm standing here in front of you talking as a journalist and as a woman journalist. Am I proud about this identity? Yes. Am I excited about it? Not really, not much. Why? Why am I not able to give an absolute assertive answer for this? Because a lot has changed and a lot more has to change. So that is the threshold on which we are standing. It's 25 years since I entered journalism, and what has changed? Okay, let me talk about something very rudimentary, restrooms. So when I joined this profession, I was working in Tirupur, which was a small town then. We were 4 of us colleagues, and the room had just enough space for 4 of us. Not another soul can enter that room. It was that small, and we had 1 restroom there. 3 men, and I was the only young woman there. So I would never use the restroom. After 2 years of working in that office, I moved to Coimbatore, where there were 5 of us who were women. There were no restrooms for women, and if one of us had to use it, we would send the eldest woman among us to check if there was anyone inside and to stand guard for us. Well, 25 years, and now we have a separate restroom for women, yes. There are more women in the organization, yes. And my junior colleagues are able to come and tell me, ma'am, something is not fine with the restroom, and I'm able to take it up. And my senior colleague who visited Coimbatore recently came and told me, Preetha, I need to visit the restroom to see if it is okay. So at least we are able to talk about something as primitive as restrooms for women. Now, does it really matter? Yes. I will come back to this a little later. According to a study by the National Women Commission, there are about 3,500 women in print media now, a lot more in television media, online portals, and there is an increasing number of women in leadership roles in the newsrooms. But is the number of women in leadership roles proportionate to the number of working journalists? No, not yet. There's a person called Luca Kosova. She authored something called the Missing Perspectives of Women in News. In that she says, whenever we talk of theories of change, we like to quote numbers. Well, that's what I did now. To tell you that yes, the number of women in media is on the rise. Why is this number important? Because as I told you, the more the number of women in a newsroom or in a place, the more we are able to converse. The more are we able to think about change. And when women are there in newsroom, we think or we believe that there can be inclusivity, there can be diversity, and there can be equity because journalists also give voice to the voiceless. We are able to go, listen to people, and speak for them. But the newsrooms are also where these women work, and what are they face hell a lot of challenges there. So we are able to change the content of what we speak when there is diversity. But I spoke to you just now about the restrooms. How many of us, media glorifies when a woman becomes a bus driver, when there is a woman auto rickshaw driver, when there are women policemen. We think that, we have brought about equity, there's diversity in different fields. But we were able to write an article. What do these police women do when they are on the beats? Where is the restroom for them? Can any of you guess what they do? Any answers? They are asked to use the nearest public toilet. There's no restroom for any of the police women on the road. Right? So who will write about this? Who will think about this? Only when there are women who can talk for them can we write about all these things. So that we were able to do. And there's a report in Reuters Institute, a study done last year. It studied women in media in 240 media organizations, online and offline, in 12 countries, 5 continents. And it found that just 25% of editors were women. How much can they do? Globally, this is the situation. Not just in India. And in India, we don't even have these studies. So we don't know what's happening. And of this, in something like Economist, 25% of the source we quote were women, and in Financial Times it was 20%, or the numbers could be a little different. So even when women are in leadership roles, are we able to reach out to women who are underprivileged and give a voice to their problems? Not really. So there is a challenge there. And coming to newsrooms, this is when we go out and work as journalists. I can say that, I've gone to political beats, though I specialize in business reporting. When we go for political assignments, or when we go for, we attend different kinds of assignments. And not everything is comfortable, where we sit and just listen to people. And those times, recently I attended a protest in Coimbatore, and I wanted to see the person who was protesting, the main person. He was a political figure. So I tried going there, and immediately I was pushed aside. Now my news organization is not going to ask me, were you pushed, were you comfortable, were you safe? No. When I go back to the newsroom, it is, did you get this bite? Did you get this news? So that is the working condition for journalists. And inside the newsrooms, what about women who want to go on maternity leaves? Is there pay parity? Are their voices heard? And are people ready to listen to them? So, there's another famous quote which says, women are counted for numbers, but they are not included. Women are called for meetings, but they are not heard. So this is a common phrase that you will hear in any news organization. The moment you try to be assertive, it will be like, oh, she's arrogant, she's not a team person, she's loud. Actually, one of my junior colleagues came and told me that she was talking to another person, and then a senior male colleague walked in and said, I could hear your laughter outside. Can you be a little soft? Is this abusive? Yes. Is there a place to go and complain? No. Right? So these are the challenges, some of the challenges that we face. But is this end of the road for women journalists? No. The numbers are increasing. And another interesting conversation, which again a male colleague had said, he's young, educated, and who covers a lot on inclusivity. So he came and said, I just had a child, I need to support my family, I need a pay rise. He didn't stop there. He looked at his woman colleague and asked, I don't think you are in such a situation. That's because women's income is seen as a supplementary income for the family, whereas men's is not so. So these are the kind of battles on a daily basis. It may not sound very significant, but yes, there are a lot of women who face such problems uh, in the media field. And the solution which even my organization is working on and all of us contribute is we turn to technology, mainly because we want to listen to people who have issues and they want to speak with anonymity. So technology helps us there. The more the stories, the more the data, the more are we able to work on solutions. And we are also able to filter information. Another point which I missed, according to a Supreme Court order, journalists are not supposed to, or media houses are not supposed to publish identities of rape victims, sexual harassment victims. And there are many cases where these come out into the media and people share it on social media without even thinking if it is right or wrong. Because we don't know. We don't know that there is Supreme Court order, neither are we sensitive to such information. So now we use technology to stop that information from being shared right at the newsroom level. What is not conforming to law should not come out in the public domain. So for that, we are using technology. And after all this, we are also using technology to skill women and make them more aware on how they can be truly empowered when their voices are heard. So there is a tool which measures, when there is a meeting, it measures the time that every woman in that group gets to speak and whether that voice of the woman is heeded to. So there are such tools now, and we are beginning to employ that in newsrooms. So this is the reality on the field, and I'm thankful that I got an opportunity to share this with you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for those enlightening words, letting us know the importance of, the chance of using technology for good as well as the chance of using technology for making challenges. So I invite the audience to post your questions now to Ms. Soundariya Preetha, ma'am.
Thanks for that presentation. I just was briefly looking up at your LinkedIn post. You've been writing a lot about textile industry and the challenges being faced, Bangladesh having pushback on rising costs and so on, and some Tamil Nadu taking up schemes and so on. So how are you attracting more? I mean, you are talking about media and using social media to amplify the right kind of news. Towards the end, you're mentioning that. So what are the challenges you're seeing in getting the right news content amplified, the wrong news content, technology enabling the wrong content not to be amplified? How are you seeing this disparity of wrong information? There's a quote which says, falsehood makes a circle around the earth before the truth can wear its pants, right? So how do you now battle this disparity?
Well, you saw a lot of my textile news because basically I'm a business journalist. That is the reason. One, yes, the mainstream media is fighting citizen journalism now. So there's a lot of social media posts which claim a lot. One thing that we are doing as an organization at the Hindu is journalists are now required to be real time, and we are also there on the social media real time. So before we write anything for the print or for our digital platforms, we also tweet, we also post. So that is one way of reaching out to people immediately before the false news come in. That's what we are doing.
Thank you so much for your very interesting talk. It's related to his question as well, which is around deep fakes. As you know, AI technology is very powerful these days, and there are certain technologies that can mimic people's voices and generate new sentences using those voices. Same with photos that look very realistic, with either existing people's faces or non-existing people's faces. So you can kind of almost go back in time and generate fake historical information. And I think we're getting to a point where video is also going to get to a point where you can maybe generate quote-unquote historical videos that are actually fake. How do you see this impacting journalism? And also particularly if you feel like these technologies, I don't know, do you feel like there's a difference between how women versus men are impacted by these technologies? Or maybe not just women, but anybody else maybe who might be considered a minority along those lines. So,
I think you're talking of two things here. You're talking of actual information and deepfakes. That's one thing. Another is, I really don't see a specific role for women here. But generally, as journalists, even we face those challenges. And it's always there in some form or the other. Sometimes we get a press release or a press statement which would not be signed by anyone. And as a thumb rule, we don't use it, even if we know the person who shares it, because we don't know the authenticity of the content, right? So the same is with deep fakes and those issues. We are training our journalists, and I'm also getting trained. I recently did a fellowship on digital journalism, on how we should be aware of the information that we gather. So one thing is that it's always better to meet people in person, talk to them, listen to them, and that's the best way before we write a story. Yeah.
Somewhat adding to the earlier two questions in a way, in the recent times, we are seeing these social media platforms giving away fact-checking mechanisms to community-based verification and comments to it. So how do you see affecting this, particularly from a gender point of perspective, when there are news related to, say, crimes against women or women-related issues, or even for other genders as well, when now these initiatives or regressive initiatives, I'd say, in a way, for coming up with community checking or user-based checking instead of the proper fact-checking mechanisms coming up. What do you feel as a journalist is the implication on social media-based news sharing, as you pointed out earlier?
As I told you, we are in the mainstream media, so I am not, a community journalist, like in this, where I write something on social media and say that it is right or wrong. But yes, we do have problems with fact-checking sites, because even those fact-checkers are not right. Everyone has their own agenda or interest. So yes, that is a challenge that we are trying to overcome. And the best way for doing all this is just get to the source, talk to them. But crimes against women, as I told you, even recently the Anna University sexual assault case in Tamil Nadu, how was the FIR released? If there was a responsible journalist, they would not have published it, right? So this is where actually technology can come in, which organizations are trying to build on that, where we can stop what is illegal from getting into the mainstream media. But how we can control fake news on social media, no, that is difficult, because recently Pointer is one of the institutes that we all go to for journalism, and recently Meta has disabled the fact-checking provision in their platforms. Yeah, so that is a challenge.